Oh, here we go again, JD. Now, for the first time, I think in this entire recording session process we've been going through with the bones of advertising, I'm actually at home.
Wow.
So
Look
how
at
about that?
that. You've got
I'm
a
at
pop
home.
plant.
Yeah, how about my pop plant strategically positioned? I haven't gone for the bookshelf look that most people go for.
No.
Trying to make themselves look really well read or really well read, whatever you want to say.
Really well read, yes.
Yeah, no, I've just gone with the pot plant. So, but anyway, welcome to another edition of the Bones of Advertising, JD. I'm still Craig McLeod, and you are.
I'm excited.
Oh, like Big Kev.
I'm excited today.
Remember Big Kev?
I'm more excited than Big Kev because we are about to pick the greatest bone in advertising. The biggest bone in advertising.
Talk to me. What is this bone that you and I are going to pick over?
The free creative pitch.
Oh, one of those absolute favourites of yours and mine, the free creative pitch. I think that's a ripper. It's a great one, JD. So just straight up front, give me your thought on doing work for a prospective client who you've got very little insights and knowledge on for free, no cost. Here you go. Let's produce a campaign for you. You assess us relative to all of the others that you want to do that. What's your thought on it?
It's the height of stupidity is what I think of it. I'm trying to be subtle.
Tell me another industry where people do this.
If I asked the electrician, my electrician mate who lives across the road, if I asked him to come over and change a light so that I could see how good he was at changing a light, on the premise that I might pay him to change lights in the future.
He'd tell you to get stuffed. He would.
Yeah. Or let's think about it even further. Because changing a light is relatively simple. If I asked a carpenter to come in and put in a brand new deck out the back so I could judge how good a quality his decking work was, for free, because I might choose to make another deck later on.
When did this happen? When did our industry become such that people offered to do it for free? Because at some point it couldn't have been for free. Look, you might know more of the history on this than I do, but at some point this wasn't the case. This surely wasn't the case. So when did it happen that all of a sudden we're okay? Yeah, we'll just do it for free.
When I'm guessing, but I don't recall that there were terribly many free creative pitches in the set. I wasn't around in the 70s in advertising.
We're going to say I wasn't alive. We were alive, my boy.
No, I can remember them. I can remember free creative pitches. People talking about free creative pitches in the 90s. I can remember stories of free creative pitches in the 80s, but they were largely smaller agencies desperately trying to prove themselves. And so they would throw in free creative work. The client would never ask for free creative work. Like it was we really think we can add value to your business, and here's the work. What do you think? So they saw it as a competitive advantage to go in and just throw the creative work as here's an example of the kind of work we can do. And so the larger advertising businesses back when advertising was back when the marketing function was a lot more meaningful inside businesses, when businesses were reliant on good marketers and good advertisers, they would work on the how good a marketer are you? How good are you at advertising? And they would go off your track record, and they would go on your business knowledge. It was always assumed that an advertising agency that didn't work on your business, what right did the advertising agency have to assume that they knew what your business issues were? And so how could they then come up with a solution if they didn't know what your what your issues were. And so why would you create a campaign out of that? So I don't think it really existed much in the 70s, and certainly not in the 60s. It started to emerge in the 80s as more and more people became, as numbers of agencies increased. And then as soon as they removed the media, they uncoupled the media component from the advertising component, I think that's really when you started to see a complete free-for-all, because margins were so low, because the media component propped up the advertising agencies. Well, not propped up, but they allowed advertising agencies to provide a broader, meatier, deeper offer to clients.
Yeah, right.
And so because that failed, all of a sudden the need to get business in, to get a sale, was more important than anything else. And so you put more effort into getting the business. And so you would offer free creative services in order to get the ongoing business. And as a result of that, it became more and more, it became more of a thing for clients to then say, well, if this was the brief, what would your answer be? And it was, clever agencies would say, well, I tell you what we'll do. We'll take you through the sort of process we would go through to answer that brief. So it wouldn't be here's what we think the answer is. The answer would be, here's the sort of relationship we would have. These are the sort of processes we would use. This is where we would bring you in. So it was kind of an education of what the relationship would be like, rather than what the creative end result would be, which I always think is just fraught with difficulty. What right do I have as an advertiser to go to a client and say, I've figured out your business, don't worry about it. Here's the answer. It's like, well, how do I know the answer if I don't even know the bloody question? It's the height of stupidity and arrogance, as far as I'm concerned.
I think it comes down to that whole situation, as you just mentioned, where we've got agencies willing to do it. So even if back in the time when you're talking about that, agencies would walk you through their process and give you an understanding of how they're going to get to the idea that's going to have the impact on your best prospect. I think it got to a point where that might have been being done, but then to get a competitive advantage, agencies would start to, and this is what the creative will look like or could look like, and then from could look like to this is what the creative is for this campaign, because that's the way they believe they could win it. And then all of a sudden, I imagine it became the norm, in pitch process, that's what happens. Some clients still pay for a pitch. Like there's definitely some government clients who put a small nominal amount in the pitch, that they'll pay a couple of grand or a little more for you to actually go away and show them what you're proposing to produce, which I would have thought is the way forward, that there should be some component, because you're a big believer, JD, and we'll touch on this right now, that if an agency is offered a pitch and the agency looks at the pitch and says, we want to have a crack at this one. So they decide that it's something that they would really like to pursue because of the ongoing nature of potential work. That's definitely something that from time to time we do. But talk to me about the impact on current clients, because that's the other thing. A great agency friend of mine once talked about the front door and the back door. It's beautiful to usher new ones in, as long as the great ones you're working with right now aren't walking out the back door because your focus is on the brand new shiny. That's a really important thing to think about and consider when pitching.
I have worked for agencies where the request will be for a creative pitch, a free creative pitch. And because you have a lot of business that you're already working on, in order to fit the free creative pitch, you either have to work the people that you've already got, and you've got to make them work a little bit harder, so you do late nights. And I worked for an agency once, and it was they got t-shirts printed at the end of the year because they had 15 pitches during the year. It was just life's a pitch. It was just like 15 creative pitches that these people were working until 2:00 in the morning, 6 days a week. It was ridiculous. Wow. But so you either force the people you've got in the business to work harder, in which case you're dealing with tired minds trying to come up with good ideas for new business and good ideas for existing business.
Yep.
I'll get to just hold that thought for a moment.
I got it right here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Or they get a team in to work on it, or they get their B grade or the juniors to work on the pitch. And what that means is you've either getting a B grade response or a response that is not going to be the sort of response that you would get long term with a client. So if you're the client and you're coming in and you do the creative pitch and you get the response you get is probably not going to be the ongoing response you will get from that piece of business if you don't pay for the pitch. Because if you don't pay for the pitch, the senior people will not work on it, or if they do work on it, they'll be giving up some other piece of business to work on yours, which begs the question, once you're a client of that agency and another client comes in and wants a free creative pitch, are they going to give up work on your business to go and work on that business?
And look, a really good point on that, JD. Produce great conceptual ideas. Studio at somewhere between 80, 85, 90%. We've got a fantastic business development team. We've got a really good website that delivers inquiry. But one thing we do on a regular basis is look at the opportunity and identify whether it's right for us at that time. Because what we want to do is we want to keep the front door open, but we want to make sure the back door's closed. Because clients we've already won are so important to us because they have the potential to be ongoing, be perpetual, and to deliver that ongoing revenue that as an agency, you really need to maintain to be able to maintain so many other things within the business. But you've got to assess what's coming in the front door and whether it's something that's too big or whether it's something that's too small before you decide we're going to commit all of these resources. Like you just said, are we going to be putting people, at risk of becoming stressed because we're looking at developing creative after hours. We're looking at working with tired minds. We're looking at writing the pitch. We're looking at putting the deck together. We're looking at then how we're actually going to present as well. So I think you've got to be careful about what you decide to pitch on.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think it becomes a balance, and it goes back to, and this will come as a surprise to many of our regular listeners. It goes back to, what do they like? Will I like the client? Will the client like me? Let's get the relationship right. I mean, they're not going to come to you if they don't like an idea of the work you've done in the past. If the work you've done in the past just doesn't look like the kind of work that they're interested in, they won't call. As an agency, they won't call you.
Yeah.
So if someone's called you, you must have shown in some way, whether it's the work on the website or whether it's word of mouth or whatever it is, that you have the capacity and the ability to do the sort of work that they want.
Yep.
And if you've got that, then surely the ongoing relationship, can I work with these people? Can I get good work out of these people? Is more important than getting a free idea. So here you go, war story. Here's a war story. I took a great pitch into the wrong room once. We were in the wrong client. Into the no, it was the right client. It was just yeah. I have I've led a pitch, a free creative pitch, because sometimes you don't want to say no, and I have we've done a little song and dance. You've got your little here's my presentation, and here's the team, and I'm on fire, and there's pew, 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 pew. And I'm getting crickets from this bloke, just just nothing.
Oh no!
And it was hard, but all he wanted was turns out, I thought they wanted here's the creative pitch because that's what they'd asked for. In actual fact, what he was after was media numbers. If I spend this much money on media, do I get this much return for my investment? like it was a simple mathematical question for him.
Wow.
So we thanked him very much. We said, look, obviously we've got the wrong end of the stick. We think you could spend this and get that, but the numbers are in the pitch. I thought it was a creative pitch. We're very, very sorry. We walked out. I thought nothing more of it until the creative work that we had done for the outdoor component of the creative pitch
Appeared.
No. Yes.
Took it and ran with it for free.
Took it and ran with it for free because we gave it to him for free.
Wow.
Like it's fraught with difficulty, and it's clients like that just muddy the water for everybody. And I think it's a rod that advertising agencies have built for their own back. We have given away the one thing that separates us from monkeys.
Yes.
And that is, what are the strength of our ideas? And if you really believe that we are in the ideas business, why would you give away those things for nothing? It makes no sense to me.
It's about valuing what you do. And I think, like we say in our ethos, we're eternally curious. We ask shitloads of questions to get the information we need to be able to respond to what the client wants. If a brief comes in and it says, create a pretty picture for us to sell our beer or our wine or our whatever, we'll just laugh and say, well, there's definitely more that needs to be asked before we put any effort that potentially could take our attention off our current clients that are super important to us. So you can tell when someone's serious about wanting a pitch and they've got a significant program of advertising scheduled moving forward, and someone who's just taking the piss like your guy who then used your idea and stuck it up on a billboard, which I hope you did send a cease and desist, JD, my boy.
I didn't send one. My solicitor sent one. Yeah, I'm not good with that kind of language.
Oh, I like that. That's important, mate. And I like that you've got a solicitor. But look, for me, pitching is a very, very interesting bone, and I've enjoyed picking it over with you. Have you got a final thought for us, my boy?
I think, as we have probably shown to our viewers, I think there is much more left on this bone. I think there's nuances and confusion abounds just in the way I've tried to explain it. Like it's a balance between how much do you want the business? Do you think the business is going to be a good fit, whether you're client side or agency side? And what's the process like of coming to the conclusion that you come to? And unless those three things line up, then the answer is no. But it's really hard to say no when someone's dangling a carrot that says, millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But give me something for free first.
It is our agency, my friend, and that's another edition of the Bones of Advertising.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you, and I'll see you next week. And don't go changing.
Don't go changing.